All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the live stream. My name is Jim Wendler. I am the author and creator of 531. I have a couple kids. I'm married. Work with high school athletes. Work with older dudes. Whatever. Just doing a lot of shite. Hope everyone had a great week. We have our final regular season game tonight. We are 9-0. This team we're playing tonight, I thought, gave us a hell of a run last year. So I expect an incredibly physical game, but that's why we play the games, as my dad always said. Let me see if there's anything else going on here. Real quick, one of the London alums is playing and starting at Indiana University. His name is Isaiah Jones. He is number 46. He's doing a tremendous job, and he's got 1 year left of eligibility, and he is absolutely mopping up. Tremendous athlete, very physical, tremendous tackler. Like, he actually wraps up and does a great job. I think he's leading the Big Ten for linebackers and tackles for loss and sacks. So really cool to see. And for those that are keeping up a little bit with some of the stuff I do, he is the older brother of Zach, the kid I work with a lot. So and we are friendly with their family, and it's super awesome to see his success and the amount of time and work that he's put in. It took him a long time to really get into the flow of things, and it's great to see. All right. If anyone could, if you're watching, listening right now, send me a thumbs up on the chat so everyone knows, so I know that everyone can see or hear. And while I wait for that, I will start with our two music recommendations today. One of these is one of the greatest albums ever done, so we'll save that one for last. The first one, and I had some trouble figuring out when this was released. I got two different. I know it was recorded in 98. Not sure when it was released. It's either 98 or 2000, but it's got some reference to 531, or I used this album as some blatant ripoff. I'll just be honest. The band is called Burn It Down. The album is called Eat, Sleep, Mate, Defend. You guys maybe have seen that on some of our stuff. This would be, I think, recognized as metalcore or hardcore. I think the album is only maybe 15 minutes. I just listened to it the other day, and it is short, it is compact, it is awesome. It is a blitzkrieg of noise and music. Bob Fouts, who some of you metalhead may remember from the Gates of Slumber, it plays drums on this, which is funny because if you know Gates of Slumber and then hear Burn It Down, you couldn't ask for two wildly different bands. Highly recommended. It's got that crazy, almost piccolo snare sound like 311 has and stuff like that. Some hardcore and punk, hardcore bands sometimes have it. It just sounds really good. Love this band. What's funny is for the first time in a while, I actually opened the packet up and read, and they have a reading list, which is ridiculously stupid. But to each their own, don't really care. Their music stands the test of time. Again, 98 or 2000, doesn't matter, still relevant today. It does not sound like modern metalcore or anything like that. It is abrasive. It is insane. This is what, to me, metalcore should sound like. All right, the second album. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've heard this band. It features, to me, the finest extreme metal singer of all time, and I don't even think that's up for debate. The band is Iron Monkey. This is their first LP, but their second release. The album's called Our Problem. Again, the band is Iron Monkey. The album is Our Problem, O-U-R, Problem. This was released in 1998, and I don't know if anyone is familiar with Mike Diana, the famous artist, cartoonist, who actually served time for indecency laws in Florida. He did the artwork. This thing folds out, and I'm not going to show it because it's incredibly offensive. You can see why people were not happy with Mike Diana after some of his artwork. Anyway, Johnny Morrow, the singer, unfortunately passed away not too long after He sang in this album. He unfortunately had I believe a liver or kidney disease that was he was kind of born with it. They are typically shown to be or referred to be as like England's version to I Hate God, but I think while they do have similarities, they got sludgy, they got a little southern swing to them. I think they're heavier than I Hate God. I mean, they tune lower. They're tuned to B. Just thick waves of nasty riffs. It's got a little more hardcore to it, I think, than I Hate God. I'd say I Hate God's a little more punk. The drummer, if anyone here is familiar with Crippled Black Phoenix, who takes their name from one of the song lyrics on their first EP from Iron Monkey, the drummer for Iron Monkey and is Justin Graves, and he played in the band, again, Crippled Black Phoenix. Again, nothing like Iron Monkey at all, and I absolutely love Crippled Black Phoenix also. Six songs. The lyrics are nonsensical insanity. Again, the vocals are unbelievable. Unbelievable. I don't even know how he could pull this stuff off. Just devastating songs, riffs, and just thick and sludgy as hell. And just moves and moves and moves. Not a bad song on this album. So again, the band is Iron Monkey. The album is called Our Problem, O-U-R Problem. And Burn It Down, Eat, Sleep, Mate, Defend. All right, let's go ahead and get started here. As usual, please ask any question you'd like in the chat. I will do my best to answer it. All right, let's do it. You like my new shirt? I just got this thing, except it's got this little, like the zipper here. It's like a nipple zipper. I don't know, a little weird, but this thing fits amazing. Here we go. Nick asks, hey Jim, do you have a simple plan when it comes to diet? Would you still use what you wrote in the 531 second edition, the 50-gram protein shake, 30 to 50 grams of some kind of protein, some vegetables, and some carbs? Okay, so I'm not saying my opinions changed, because that style of eating worked for me greatly. But I was also at a different point in my life. I was incredibly active, and I needed to put weight on. And so I don't know if I would not do that today, not even close to today. So what your diet is, Nick, is going to be it's going to be kind of how your body feels and what your goals are and all that other stuff. And, obviously age comes in to play. I mean, everyone knows, like, when you're young and doing a million sports and you have your metabolism's ramped up and you're doing everything, you can kind of get away with a lot eating wise. Nowadays, not so much. Your body gets a little older. Things change. So, generally speaking, Nick, if I had to give anyone just a brief overview of any diet, I would have some kind of protein, some kind of fruit or vegetable, okay? And then you manipulate the carbs based on what your goals are. So if you need to gain some weight and you like your body feels better on carbs, you could eat more. If you need less, then you either eat no carb sources. You're still getting fruits and vegetables, but I'm talking like rice or potatoes or anything like that. So you just manipulate the carbs. What I have noticed is, I've gotten older, especially the last 2 years, I don't eat as much protein as I used to, and I feel better. So personally, Nick, this is how I did most of my stuff, whether it's training or diet, is I always have daily goals I try to meet. So whatever that might mean for you, I don't know. But it's just much easier for me to, instead of saying I got to eat this at this meal and this, I'm like, listen, I have to get X amount of grams of protein. I have to eat A, B, and C, and I have to do X, Y, and Z. And so as long as I do that, however it gets done, I'm good to go. And so that's just me personally. I like to be goal oriented, and I like to have a list of things to get done and just check them off my list. So does that work? Yes, but you don't have to do it all the time. And I will say though, one of the most effective ways that I lost weight was I would drink a protein drink before I ate any meal. So what ended up happening, obviously, is you just eat less. And so I didn't really control what I ate, so to speak. Like, I wasn't nitpicking. I just naturally ate less. And it worked incredibly well for me. And that's, again, that was the goal. Like, listen, if I'm going to have pizza or anything or whatever I was going to eat, I had to drink a protein drink. And I'm telling you, I lost a ton of weight. This is when I was in college. I did this a lot. And I had gotten really big. After I got diagnosed with Graves' disease, we got it under control. And like the 3 or 4, how many years I had Graves' disease, and I didn't realize that my body was just eating itself, basically. That's what it felt like. And I still continued to train, but I just kept on losing weight. I kept on losing strength. It was horrible. And, you know, I thought I was just not working hard enough or eating enough. But, you know, if you have a massively overactive thyroid, which I did, that wasn't the case. So it felt, and I still trained, so it felt like once I got everything under control, every single rep and calorie I ate just kind of, my body just used it all. And I went from, in September, I weighed probably 180 or under 180. And then by Thanksgiving week, I weighed 240 pounds. And I always like to tell this story. When my sister picked me up at the airport at O'Hare, and this is back when you can go through, if you can go through security and wait at the gate for someone. She walked right past me. She didn't even recognize me. I was so massive. And the other awesome thing is my strength just skyrocketed. So anyway, but eventually I got way too big. I was up to like 260, and there's no way I could run and do anything. So I used the protein drink prior to eating to get down to 230, 225, and man, it was quick. But I was also, you know, doing a lot of shit too. So just keep that in mind. Eat for who you are today and what your goal is. Best advice I can give you, and it's gonna fluctuate and change. Rico Santana says, hey, just stopping by to say good morning, and I hope you have had a good week. All right, I appreciate it, and a good weekend to come. We have tomorrow Saturday, James and Juliet have a 5K they're doing tomorrow. So I am, depending on what we got going on tomorrow, either I'm going with them or I'm doing all the recovery work for the kids. So we will see, but it's exciting for them. And they got James got a whole bunch of friends that are doing with them. A couple of moms that Juliet knows are going to do it too. So it'll be fun. It's especially fun because I'm not doing it. All right. Frank Leone says, but I appreciate the sentiment, Rico. Thank you very much, bud. Frank Leone, or Leon, I don't know. We'll see. Says, hey, Jim, I'm training for powerlifting using the 5-3-1 Prilipin template from your forum. Training a 4-day split with 2 bench days and 3 training days per week. Okay. What are your thoughts on the second bench day? At the moment, I do about 25 reps of FSL on that day and press and do other assistance, but was thinking of just doing another heavy bench day or using the Prilipin percentage in reps from the first bench day, or thinking of doing a bench variation on that second day. Just curious what would be most beneficial for raising my bench press. Okay, so real quick, Frank's got a second bench press day, right? And he wants to know what to do. Now there's a couple things. Is you're asking what would be most beneficial. The answer is all of that is beneficial, all right? So I don't think you need to choose just one. Remember, training, I know you guys heard me say this a million times, training is not Sophie's choice. So what I would do if I were you is I would give a couple options here. Stick with it for, 1 cycle, 2 cycles, and if you don't like what you feel or you do like you feel, you can extend it or change. So here's a couple things I would do. One, it would be primarily what I would call like a bodybuilding assistance day. And then I would do the FSL work. I would probably do a little higher volume on that. I would change my grips, so you're doing different, wider, medium, close on each and every set. So you're doing something a little bit different. All right. Following that up with a ton of assistance work, especially for your shoulders, flies, and like chest work, upper back, triceps, arms, all that good stuff, right? That's number one. Number two would be doing another quote unquote heavy bench day. And then I would use that as either you can use the first bench day, so to speak, as a guideline, or you can do something completely different. So for example, if you're very heavy on your first bench day, you can go a little bit lighter. Or if it's a little lighter or medium on day one, you can go a little bit heavier. And I would probably keep that open if I were you. So if you feel real good, you can go ahead and do that. So that's number two. And number three, you mentioned this, is using some kind of variation. So floor press, inclines, chain bench. I don't know. There's a million different things that you could do. The only thing I would say with that, Frank, is I assume that you're a raw lifter. I would probably aim for a full range of movement, full range of motion movement. I consider floor presses just about full range, and I love floor presses. I think they do a great job of raising your raw bench. And I'd probably use the Prilipin chart, something like that for that. Or you can use that bench variation and again do quote unquote FSL works or higher volume, different grips and stuff like that, and just get a huge pump on that day and give yourself a little bit of a change. So I guess that's 4 variations there. But Frank, the bottom line is you don't know what's going to be most beneficial. I don't think there's just going to be one thing that's going to be beneficial. I think stick with something for at least 1 cycle, if not for 2. If, again, it feels like it's working or you like to do it, just keep on going with it. Go ahead and change some stuff up, that. But the most important thing, Frank, is I don't know what your age is, but I'm going to tell you, make sure you're bodybuilding your upper body. You got to look like you bench big. And I think that's something I really wish I would have done better. I think I did a great job at a certain point in my time doing that. And I really think that's why my bench skyrocketed at a certain point. So I really think that's important. So don't be afraid of doing some higher reps, some reps to failure, especially on the assistance work, and just look like you lift weights, buddy. So, all right, thank you. All the thumbs up, appreciate it. Okay, we got BK from Texas. He says, thanks for all you do. Suggestions for unilateral leg training. Split squat using the belt squat, trying to rebuild quad size and strength. All right, so this, I don't know about building quad strength. These are the things that we've been doing lately with some of the kids is we've been doing Cossack squats, and I think that's not necessarily quad size, but I think for the kids that have mobility issues, that's something we've been focusing on, and we do that just as part of our warm-up. We are going to add that into our warm-up for the off-season. I've decided that, and we're also going to do this Bulgarian split squat with leg up on an elevated bench. So I think those, at least the Bulgarian split squat, I think would be great. Holding dumbbells, using a weight vest. You could goblet squat too. So I think that would probably be my first one. The second one, honestly, would be walking lunges. You can obviously, I would probably hold the dumbbells at your side. I think it's a little easier to do than putting a barbell on your back and navigating all that crap. So that would probably be my 2 things. Belt squats, I think would be great. I'm not sure about this split squat using the belt squat. I think that might be a little awkward. But I don't know if you could pull that off, that's fine. The most important thing is you're going to have to start tapping into some higher rep ranges and really make those legs burn. And I think that's one thing people shy away from a lot when doing single leg stuff because it sucks so much is they're afraid to not just load it, but just to push the reps higher. And what I mean by higher, it's got to burn a little bit. It's got to suck. So not only the reps, but make sure you're controlling the eccentric and really loading the front leg. Don't blow your knee out or anything like that. So I think that's another thing you really need to take into account. So let's see here. Will building shoulder presses and upper body stretches help with aches and pains in the shoulders? Theoretically, I guess. I don't know. It depends on what you have wrong with your shoulder. And you have to be careful with the stretches, just so you don't, re-injure stuff. The number one thing that helped my shoulders was the bottoms up kettlebell press, right? Make sure you do both arms, even the strong one. The other thing that helped greatly was using the mace, swinging the mace around your head, and going both sides and stuff. That helped me more than anything. So those 2 things I would really recommend with aches and pains in your shoulders, as long as you can do them. And I can still do the mace stuff. I can occasionally do the bottoms up kettlebell press. So that's what I would probably recommend. Zach says, what are your thoughts on reverse hyper work for young athletes? I follow a lot of the walrus work you do for my son that's 12, but we are starting to add more barbell work. I think they're awesome. I think what I would probably do with the reverse hyper with young athletes is I would probably use body weight first and teach them how to raise controlled and 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, and then lower under control. So that's what I would probably emphasize if I was doing that. 100%. So yes, I think they can 100% do it. I think it's something you could put in again as part of your warm-up when the kids are just kind of, instead of just doing nothing or just something bullshit, give them a circuit of 2 or 3, or I should say 3 things you can do. For example, rear laterals, some kind of row, and some lower or some kind of core work, and then the reverse hyper would be part of that. So that's what I would do. And man, you'd only need 2 to 3 sets as long as they're done correctly, and just be consistent with it. So definitely awesome. All right, what's your favorite album of all time? One answer, please. I don't know. I get asked stuff like this all the time, and the thing I always say is I don't have a favorite album of all time because I'm 50 years old. I don't categorize that thing, but I would probably put a couple in there. I know you said one answer, but I'm not gonna do one answer. De Mysteriis Dom Satanas by Mayhem. Just Rain and Blood. You can't deny that, by Slayer. Morbid Tales by Celtic Frost. I'm sure I'm missing some. Take As Needed for Pain by I Hate God. Our Problem by Iron Monkey. Unbelievable. So those would probably make my list. I'm sure there's a bunch others there too. So yep, that's what I would probably say. And every time I think of an album or see something, I'm like, oh my God, that should be on it. So I remember I made a list one time of what I thought were like the perfect albums from front to back. And those 3 albums definitely made it for me. So, all right, here we go. Pyre, the Funeral Pyre. Should I run a volume template or intensity template if I am eating less and want to maintain strength? And if you would recommend one program from the Forever Book to run on a cut, what would it be? Should I run a volume template or intensity template if I am eating less and want to maintain strength? All right, so this is what I would do. I would just run the original 5-3-1 program. I would not increase your training max. I would keep it at 80 to 85% while you are cutting weight and you're eating less. So you just maintain the entire time. And when you have a good day, you go ahead and push that main set. If you have a bad day, just cap it at wherever you think it needs to be. And then just push the assistance. I'd probably say about 3 assistance exercises. I would do those if I were you. Probably at least 2 hard sets of each. They don't have to be, sniffing ammonia kind of sets, but they should be very hard. That's what I would probably do. So it's not so much a volume template or intensity template. The other thing I would probably do, and I think this is super important while you're eating less and you're losing weight, is focus on some body weight stuff, because your body weight exercises will generally go up because you're losing weight, or at least in theory they should. This is what I do during the season for kids is, we always if you're not feeling good, we'll try to get some pull-ups in and dips and push-ups and stuff like that. So that's something else I would probably include in there. But I think the most important thing is you keep the training max the same. Keep the training max at between 80 to 85%, no higher. It'll depend on the lift. And just maintain it and let your weight come down. And when you have a good day, you go ahead and push hard. When you have a bad day, just do a good main lift, get your assistance in, and then get the hell out of there. So that's what I would probably recommend. And that's one of the programs in the Forever Book. Jeff Mullis says, hey Jim, just checking in. I've taken to your approach of not worrying about pushing, forcing the training max up each cycle, just keeping my training max generally between 80 and 85% and focusing on just getting good solid work in each day. It's been working. I work up when I feel good and have been getting stronger as a result of just being where I'm at each day. Oh, it's so important. That's very important. He goes on because it's got kind of broken up. I don't always post questions, but I watch the stream after work each Friday. Awesome. Thanks for doing what you do. I appreciate it. Thanks for keeping things real. I try my best, Jeff. I appreciate it. And listen, man, one of the crazy things is we always have work with a training max for each kid, especially with just say people I work with one-on-one. And we follow the letter, right? We have a plan every day, but those days we feel really good and we can work up, we go ahead and do it. The days that they can do a lot of FSL work, we go ahead and do it. The days we don't, like he doesn't feel great, then we just keep to the plan. We just stop where we're supposed to, make sure the reps are good, and then just have a great solid workout. And I'm telling you, it works so well. So I don't really worry about the training max going up, because they're gonna, when we have good days, we're just gonna go ahead and do it. Now, if they get like massively stronger, yes, we will adjust the training max, but in a 8 weeks or something like that, we'll just keep the training max the same. We'll go through 3 cycles or so, 9 weeks, and then we're good to go. So Jeff, I think what you're doing, once you understand that, and it's taken me a long time to figure this shit out, a long time. Everything just kind of works itself out, and you can always have good days with that. You can occasionally have great days, but you rarely have bad days because your training max is solid. So there we go. KR Bear says, good morning, boss man. Ooh, is doing a Krypteia style main workout and then a short 3 to 5 sets of a walrus style afterwards workout too much volume for one day? Yeah, I probably would say yes. I would probably say, and my guess would be something is going to suffer, and it's usually the main lift, like the Krypteia style thing. I can tell you right now, and I'm not saying this is how every workout should be. My goal is not to kill people, but the pace and the adherence to great sets and great reps will take its toll on you, and you're not going to really want to do all that walrus stuff. Now, KR, maybe you are incredible shape and that it works great for you, but I would much rather have you focus on doing the main workout awesome and just doing greatness there, and not worry about doing the extra walrus stuff afterwards. Because dude, you can do push-ups and chin-ups and dips and all that stuff as part of your main workout, right? So you can always add that stuff in. So that's what I would probably do. So, and I have done. So that's what I would probably recommend. My man Caleb Soller says, hey coach, just starting to plateau on the bench a bit. Any ideas to get out of the funk? All right, here goes nothing. This is what I would probably do, Caleb. Is one, I would just drop the training max, rebuild up, and give yourself at least 3 to 4 weeks where you're not stressed out about how much weight you're handling. You're just doing great reps. You're not worried about any PRs. You're not worried, last week I did 205 for 6 and I can only do 195 for 4 today. Don't worry about that. Lower it. All right, so that's number one. Take the stress off you. Drop the training max or however you do it, and just concentrate on having good days, especially on the main lift. Number two is start looking at some of your assistance lifts and start doing a couple different things and be creative and have some fun. So, for example, if you always do tricep extensions, for example, for your triceps, start doing dumbbell tricep extensions supersetted with push-ups with a hold into lockout or something like that. Okay. If you usually do standing barbell press, do standing dumbbells or seated dumbbell press or something like that. This is what I love to do. I would do a set of presses, 6 to 12 reps or something, almost a failure. Go right to side laterals, set of 20, and then right to rear laterals, set of 20. And that's one set, and do that 2 or 3 times, and you'd be surprised. Just find something else to do that you're not worried about the weight so much, and just doing great reps and getting a huge pump. But the most important thing, Caleb, is lower the training max and don't stress about the weight, because plateaus are going to come. And the other thing you could do, and Caleb, honestly, if I was training you, I'd keep the training max the same and do very similar, would lower it down. And those days that you have good days, we're going to go ahead and take advantage. If not, we're just going to have a good workout. Caleb, the other thing that you have to understand is you don't have to lift 5, every week. You got to do more. All right. It's a culmination of all that work that you're doing that's going to get you there. It's not just one workout. So, Caleb, I'll tell you this. Zach, you know Zach very well. When I first started working with him, I think he was benching like 245 or something like that. Right? He had done a million sports, and his body just needed a break or something. So most of our training prior to him doing another test was between 165 pounds and 185 pounds. 99% of his work was there. And we just did rep after rep. We did a ton of great dips, push-ups, rows, chin-ups, all this other stuff. We just got his entire body stronger, and we built as much muscle, and we just did good controlled reps, and he fucking hated me because it'd be like 165. I'm like, yeah, we're going to do it. Comes back and he benches, I think, 275 or something like that. And he's like, oh my God. I'm like, yeah, you just got to trust. You got to trust the process of the work being done and not worry about the weight being lifted at that time. It's just the training is a culmination of a long amount of, lot of workouts built up over time. It's not just about one workout. So don't get caught up in that. Build some muscle. Make sure that bar speed on the bench is awesome. And I think you'll be good to go. But the worst thing you could do is start stressing. And the one thing that people always do is, I just need to go heavier. I need to go heavier. It's very similar to, I'm sure everyone knows this. Let's say Friday night we have a really shitty game. The kids' effort's really crappy. The kids look exhausted. The normal thing is, let's bring them on Saturday. We're going to have a full pad practice. We're going to condition the shit out of them, all that other stuff. When in fact, that's the last thing they need to do because they're so worn out. So that is something you need to understand, that if you're feeling like a plateau and you're kind of worn out, the worst thing you can do is push that accelerator down a little bit. Or a little bit harder, I should say. And if I see you tonight, Caleb, let me know. We'll talk about some other stuff. We'll get some personals. I don't know if you're going to the game tonight or not, but... All right, Rich Stanley says, "Aye, Jim, I'm a football coach and powerlifter and always struggle to get in good workouts in season between work and coaching. Any advice is appreciated." All right, so there's a couple things here, Rich. I don't know how much time you spend on your feet during the week, and I know that's a huge thing. And when you're younger, it's maybe not that big of a deal. When you're older, it is. So that's number one. Second thing is, and I don't mean to, you're a football coach and powerlifter. My guess is you have giant calves and you're probably a big dude. All right, that needs to be taken into account because you're on your feet all the time. You might be a little overweight. And again, Rich, don't kick me in the Jimmy. All right, but you understand what I'm saying. And there's a much bigger difference between being 25 and being, massive, and being 45 and being massive, because it just starts to wear on you. All right, so there's a couple things I would do. One is I would aim for 2 workouts a week. That's the goal. I would have one kind of upper body day and one lower body day. And I would not worry about trying to get all your lifts in. I would say, obviously one day would be bench press. You're a power lifter. The other day, you could alternate between squat and deadlift. All right. I would keep the training maxes the same on these days because your strength is going to fluctuate a little bit, right? When you feel good, go ahead and push. When not, don't worry about it. The other thing is make sure your pace during the training is good. You don't want to run around all the time, but give yourself, say, listen, I got 40 minutes of just good work. I don't know if I'm just making up that number, but let's just say between 35 and 45 minutes. If you can't get that work done in that time, then you're either too slow, you're a little worn out, but I don't want you spending an hour and a half in there or anything like that during the season. So after the main lift, whatever you choose to do for that main lift, Rich, I'd give yourself 2 to 3 assistance exercises that you can do that don't wear on your body. So for example, I probably wouldn't do farmer's walk on the day you squat or deadlift because, man, your body's already torn up and feeling like shit. I would probably recommend, as an example, some ab work. Maybe if you have a belt squat machine, that would be awesome on your body. Some lower back work, i.e. Back raises or reverse hypers, or maybe glute ham raises. Anything that's kind of easier on your body. Another good thing is on days that you bench press, maybe you do, as an example, let's say you bench, maybe you do dumbbell incline press, and then the next 2 exercises for your lats and your triceps are all band work. Bands are super easy for your body to recover from. And you just put 2 light bands at the top of a chin rack, stand up and just do lat pull downs and face pulls, 150 reps or something like that. Get some push downs in until your arms can't move, and that'll be it. So I think you need to adjust for your stress levels. The problem is you're trying to do a workout that is usually done in an unstressful time during a stressful time. And that's not only going to beat you up, but it's going to make you weaker. It's going to make you feel like shit. It's going to affect everything. So I think that's what I would recommend. The other thing, Rich, is let's say you go into that weight room. It's Monday morning, or for whatever reason, man, everything feels like crap. Just assistance work, whatever that means to you. I just get a good pump, get your body movement, get some body, I don't know, whatever it is to get a good pump, and then go. So that's the other thing I would do. So have like an out for each day, and just you have to be honest with yourself. Don't be a pussy, but you have an out. The final thing is have some kind of movement, mobility, yoga that you can do every single day, 10, 15 minutes. As an example, you could do, and I would do a bunch of them, have like a whole thing that you can just pick out, like, it looks like I'm doing this today. 10 to 15 minutes, get your hips moving, different angles and stuff like that, Cossack squats, doing all kinds of different kind of yoga-esque stuff. Static holds, stuff like that. But the DeFranco Agile 8 would be something that you could do. You don't have to do everything in there if it feels weird, but stuff like that. So you gotta have to preempt the soreness, and because I know how it is. Your knees and your hips start aching a little bit from doing all that shit on the field. So that's what I would probably recommend. So again, two hard workouts a week, so to speak, right? 35 to 45 minutes. Have outs for each of those days when you feel really crappy, and then make sure you get some mobility, movement, stuff like that on every single day. Again, doesn't need to be more than 10 to 15 minutes. Highly recommended. And the other thing, finally, Rich, I will say this, is make sure you're eating fairly healthy, because I think that, I assume you're a little bit older. You go ahead and take care of that. And again, doesn't have to be fucking vegan diet or anything like that, but make sure you're not eating, just fast food all the time and shit like that. Make your own meals, take care of yourself. All right, Caleb says, hey, suggestions on big boy cardio or something to keep my heart rate in a decent space with the focus on powerlifting. Cardio is obviously taking a back seat a bit. Okay, so this is a couple things I would recommend, Caleb, is getting on you have a weight vest. Put on a weight vest 4 days a week, 3 days a week, walk for at least 3 to 4 miles. That's number one that you could do. Now you can vary all this. Number two is when you're at the gym, I would, again, this would be done 3 to 4 to 5 days a week. You get on the treadmill and just walk, and then start flat, and then start, increasing the incline and increasing the pace. But I would probably recommend 20 to 40 minutes. And if they check your heart rate, you have a heart rate monitor on there, try to stay in like zone 2-ish. You don't have to be, and you can again do that without a weight vest or with a weight vest, okay? The number 3 thing is, I would only do this once a week, is I would do some kind of prowler sprints or sprints on an Airdyne bike. I don't know if you have access to one of those things. So that should only be done 1 day a week. Doesn't need to be more than, for example, 10 30 to 40 yard sprints with the prowler. Doesn't have to be super heavy either. Just pushing, get a little resistance in there. But the key is to get that heart rate going. And it doesn't, again, you shouldn't be doing this for an hour. All right, 10 to maybe 15 minutes total. And I think those things would be huge for you. Again, one hard sprint day, so to speak, Caleb. The other days would be walking, either with the weight vest outside or weight vest, if you have one, on a treadmill, a little bit of incline. I would rather see you do, for example, 45 minutes, but if it feels shitty right now, just make the goal 20 and just build up to it. It will come back to you in a very short amount of time, but if your main goal is to get huge and get strong, I think those 2 things would be awesome. Walking and some kind of short sprint stuff, like with the prowler or with the Airdyne bike. With the Airdyne bike, I don't know, again, I would probably do 10-second all-out sprints and just do it every minute on the minute. It takes 10 minutes. I love doing that. I suck at that still, especially when I start holding myself accountable for the RPMs. So anyway, hope that helps, Caleb. Again, if you're at the game, just let me know. Yeah, this is the best thing about conditioning. And I have a sign in my bathroom that says, never be out of shape. There's no excuse to be out of shape, because all it does, Caleb, is taking you, putting on a weight vest and just fucking walking. getting on a treadmill, walking, getting on the airline. It's nothing but effort. It takes no talent to be in reasonable shape. Okay, yes, if you're going to run a 4-minute mile, it takes some talent. Yes, if you're going to run a, I don't know, like a 2:45 marathon, it's going to take some talent. All that stuff, yes, but just getting in general shape is just about putting the fucking work in and, making sure your priorities are straight. That's all that is. The other thing, Caleb, you're still in town. Go over to the stadium, dude, put on a weight vest, do 30 to 50 rows, right? The stairs. I'm sure you've seen me over there. Absolute ball buster. And you don't even need the weight vest to do that. I'm telling you. Just take every other step, build that leg strength, and I think you'll be good to go. Frank Leon, thanks for the answers. Thank you, Frank. I appreciate that, buddy. Scott Heimer says, thanks so much for the time you take each week to do this for the community. Scott, I love doing this shit, man. I think if I had a little bigger audience, I'd probably do this more often. But I don't think if I did this like 3 days a week, I would have like hardly anyone doing it, I'll be honest. So I love doing this shit, man. Nick, oh boy, Martire. I hope I said that correctly. Nick says, hey Jim, I've been doing one main lift a day, then walrus circuit. Shoulders getting cranky from years of powerlifting. Looking for an alternative to bench and wondering if floor press is a substitute. Now here's the fucking crazy thing, Nick. This has been my experience. The floor press felt worse on my shoulder than the bench press. And I think it's because it's harder to retract and get in position. You can still do it. But that's just been my experience. It may not be your experience. The one thing I would tell you, Nick, and I hate to do this because it's going to cost you some cash here, is get yourself I wasn't scratching my ass, by the way. I was scratching my thigh. If it was an ass, I'd be all back here. I would get your hands on a football bar. The bars that have the neutral grip or slightly pronated or supinated, whatever it is. I'm telling you, the three things I think are awesome, like old man lifts, is the football bar bench or press. You can do both. The trap bar and the safety squat bar box squat, done a little bit above parallel. Those three things I think I wish I would have done as soon as I was done powerlifting. I think it would have saved my body quite a bit, I'll be honest. So my alternative to you to bench, definitely the football bar. The only issue, Nick, is some of the football bars are built a little different. I have two. One of them on the medium grip feels like it handcuffs me. The other one is like a half inch or an inch, I guess, half inch each side. And it feels perfect. So if you can try some of the different bars out, I would do it, which I'm sure it's not reasonable for you to do that. So what I would do is look at the Elite FTS stuff, read the reviews, and go from there. So that's what I would personally do. I'm telling you, it's a game changer for your shoulders. Tyler Webb says, hey Jim, wondering about goal setting and routine conditioning work. All right, specifically weighted vest walks. How do I make that interesting? Track progress in speed and weight and distance. All right, this is what I did, Tyler. You ready for this? I don't give a shit about that. My goal was to be the most consistent motherfucker ever. I'm telling you, I did that, my weight vest walks in some of the worst weather. And that was my goal, was no matter what, if I had to wake up super early, if I had to catch a flight at 7 in the morning, I was up at 4 in the morning doing it. So that was how I tracked it. I didn't worry about the speed. I always generally wore 20 to 25 pounds in the weight vest. I didn't worry that I was walking too slow because that time to me, Tyler, was my time. It was put in the headphones, or I'd call my oldest son, Mason, or I'd call my parents, or I'd call Rhodes, and just enjoy the time. So I guess if you want to like track how long it takes you and all that stuff, which I mean, I always kept a watch on, but I never tried to break records. My goal was to be the most consistent motherfucker. God, I swear too much. My mom's all mad at me right now. The most consistent dude ever. And so obviously 99% of the time the weather was fine. But I walked, and I'm not trying to tell you like I'm SEAL Team 6 here, but I did a weight vest walk because of the day. It was at night in the winter time. It was like 18 below. And when I'm walking down Kenny Boulevard here, the wind is horrid. And I was balling up my fists trudging through the snow, and cars were passing. They must have thought I was like an absolute idiot. And it was one of the most miserable times of my life. And I couldn't wait to be done just because I wanted that feeling of look what I did. I've done it in horrible rainstorms. Again, I'm not playing myself like some tough guy, but that's how I made it interesting. Was there was no way I was missing my days ever. That was what I did. And I've talked about this before. I went in for blood work one year. It was X, Y, and Z. And I was like, listen, all I'm going to do is walk every single day for 3 miles. And if I any other training, whatever, is fine. I didn't change my diet at all. My cholesterol, all that stuff, even though it wasn't bad before, I mean, just went right down. And I was like, oh my God, my blood pressure was almost perfect. So that's what I would recommend to you. Just consistency, Tyler, is a superpower. And that sounds stupid, like, oh, I can do that. Yeah, we'll see. How many people are consistent throughout their entire life or through a year, right? Because I'm telling you, Tyler, and I know you know this, it's hard to do because not a lot of people do this. I mean, how many people read every single day, right? They'd like to, right? How many people do some kind of physical fitness? How many people take care of their lawn and stuff like that? All that stuff, all that consistent stuff that kind of gets thrown to the side, that is like the magic of life to me. It's that little stuff that you endure. Maybe not the greatest things every day, but it contributes to making yourself having a better life. So there you go. Ooh, this is a fresh. It says, hey, Jim, if I have the mobility, should I always ATH high bar squat? It seems my squat has stalled for a while now, and I'm thinking about switching from that big range of motion to a more powerlifting squat. If I had to give you advice, like I'm fresh, 100 years or whatever, when you're 80 and I'm talking to you now, my advice would be to keep doing your high bar squat with a bigger range of motion. And the reason why is once you lose that ability, it's going to be very difficult to get it back. I had a moment of time. I remember I could high bar squat super deep. But oh my God, I wasn't handling the same weights. I said, this is bullshit, went back to what I was doing, and I never got that back. I'm sure I could do it now. I'm much more mobile now. But I believe one thing is you can always powerlifting squat with a shorter range of motion, all that stuff. You can always do that for the most part. But you're not going to have that ability. So if I'm looking from a long-term, old man approach, I would keep doing that. Listen, your squat's going to stall for a while. That's totally understandable. It happens to everyone. I would, instead of switching what I'm doing, I would probably figure out some not an alternative squat, but just do something different with your assistance maybe. Or maybe you need to focus, for example, when you're squatting, on being just more aggressive coming out of the bottom. I've found, at least in my coaching life, when I coach a kid through the squats or the bench or anything like that, magically their bar speed gets up because I'm coaching them through it. I'm forcing them to actually push very fast. So I didn't get them any stronger. I just coached them on how to do the movements better. And the other thing is, again, we talked about with Caleb and his bench press, lower your training max a little bit if you use something like that. Focus on getting good reps in, and then look at your assistance work. Like, listen, are my back raises, have they increased? Has my ab work, has it gotten better? What about my leg strength besides the squat? Can you do some insane shit with like walking lunges or step ups or hills or prowler or something like? Just get your legs overall stronger. What about hamstring strength? Are you able to do awesome reps on the glute ham raise or the Nordic leg curls and stuff like that? So I wouldn't keep that mobility in. And the other, lower your training max, look at other assistance work, but instead of just focusing on the squat as like your basis for leg strength, look at other stuff and start looking outside the box and worry about that. Focus on that for a little bit. Maybe it's going to help your squat. It probably should help your squat, but at least you have something you can get hungry for and make progress again. And it's not just one or two things in the weight room. And then your whole kind of confidence and whether or not you're making progress is based on those three things. Look at something else. Can you do walking lunges, for example, for a quarter mile without stopping? Just body weight, something like that. Make that your new goal. Make that your new focus. Put the squat a little bit on the back burner and have some fun. Listen, guys, I understand, want to squat this, do this, all this stuff, but man, training should be competitive for yourself. It should be fun, and it should be just hard, crazy work that makes you a better human physically and a better human mentally. Robert P. I said, I started the body weight assistance for 5-3-1. My chin-ups need some work. No way I can do 50 total. I'm at 30 right now. Okay, should I just keep chipping away at it or work in an alternative pull exercise? I think, well, why can't you do both? Right? You could do 30 chin-ups in a workout and still did a couple sets of hard rows, right? Or some lat pull downs. So yes, you should keep chipping away at this, and it doesn't mean you can't use any other pulling exercise, right? So a lot of times, for example, when we're doing something, especially when we're doing a high volume Krypteia style workout, we will get our rows in as part of our warm up. All right, 2 to 3 sets. First set's going to be a nice little warm up. Maybe the next 2 or 3 will be a little bit harder. It's taken care of. It's done. We're getting warmed up. We're not wasting any real hard training time at it. So yes, you should do both, Robert. 100%. Oh boy. Okay, here we go. Eagle Training says, hey Jim, please can you give some example cardio type days you did with Zach for the template you posted on the forum a couple weeks ago? I know there were some examples in your log, but just wondered if there was any staple days as such. No. What we do, Zach and I, is we train 3 days a week, we lift 3 days a week, and then Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and sometimes Sunday, we just meet at the house and we say, hey, what do you want to try? What do you want to do? And we just go back and forth and say, you want to try this? Or I'll have something stupid to do. And Zach looks at me and laughs because he's got to do most of the work. I'll just be completely honest. But I'm always there with him struggling too. So what we generally do is we can do the prowler. And for example, it will be something very, either medium or heavy, so to speak, or light, whatever. It'll be usually for a half mile or a mile. So that's one. Number 2 would be climbing stadium steps with a weight vest. That would be another thing. Zach will occasionally do the farmer's walk for a half mile. That's number 3. And number 4 would be hill sprints. And so those are our big things that we do that are outside of what I call normal weight room work. So that's about it. I think we've done farmer's walk for a mile before, with or without a weight vest. It just depends. So yeah, it's about it. And we have no grand plan other than usually, right now, I have some ideas of some things I maybe want to do with Zach. I'll throw some ideas out at him hey, do you want to eventually try to do this, for a mile? And then he looks at me, he's like, fuck, let's do it, brother. And so that's it. But I don't have this systematic plan because it doesn't really matter. We're just working hard, having some fun. It's only 6 to 8 weeks. It's not a huge deal. So yeah, we don't do any, other than the hill stuff, we don't really do any traditional football drills because he's got enough of that. He does a ton of that year round. My goal is to just make him raise his general physical preparedness to a high level using different things that his body's not exposed to. And I think that's the number one thing that we do. So there you go. Those are my samples. Again, it's just come up with something stupid, see what you can do. We're going to do another one where one guy pushes the prowler, one guy carries the trap bar. They stop, and then we switch. And the other guy pushes the prowler, the other guy does the trap bar. We'll do that for a mile, which is going to suck too. It's just be as creative as you can. Barry says, hey, great hearing you. Any plans for a table talk with Dave? Had to sign a waiver for my kid that called out of my kid had ever had roads. I mean, what? I don't know what that means. But yeah, okay, so the table talk. I'm not sure what you mean about that, Barry. Are there any plans? No. What will happen is Dave will send me a text or send Juliet a text and say, do you want to come on? I've been on there a million times. I don't think anyone really needs to hear anything I have to say. So, like, I love Dave. I was thinking about Dave the other day, and just the shit that he did for me, especially, you know, at the beginning, has been amazing. So, I'm eternally thankful. There's a bunch of people in my life that I have thankfully met and have befriended, and Dave is one of them. And he didn't have to do a lot of that shit for me, but he did, and I think it speaks volumes. So, David Toomey says, hey Jim, have you any experience with people with fully ruptured ACL? Is surgery generally recommended, or can people train around this? Should have retired from football before age 45. I'm sure you can get around it, David, but I would not do that. I personally wouldn't. Get it done as soon as possible. Let yourself heal. Do your do your rehab and all that other stuff. Get it done slowly, and because you don't want to be 80 years old with a fucked up knee and you can barely walk. So that's what I would highly recommend. Jacob Wilson says, are you a Death fan? If so, favorite album, song, whole discography is mandatory in the garage where I live personally. I'm not a huge fan of Death. I had their Leprosy and then Scream Bloody Gore, right? I don't know. It just wasn't, to me, I don't know. It just sounds a little, I don't know. It just didn't sound exactly how I wanted it to sound. I'm a way bigger Possessed fan, if I'm going to be completely honest. I have great respect for Chuck. Obviously, anyone in the metal arena knows how great Chuck is and all that stuff, but I just was not a huge fan. I mean, I had Leprosy and Scream Bloody Gore. I love Zombie Ritual, but just the opening, I thought that was awesome. All right. Any thoughts on the West Side Conjugate football workout program that's put out a couple months ago? Is it West Side without Louis? That I do not know. I'm not familiar with, didn't know it was out. I'd have to look at it. I'm sure whoever put it together did a great job. The one thing that people need to understand is I would love to do X, Y, and Z all the time with the football team. But there's also the reality of the football team, and you don't have, a lot of kids can't do a lot of the stuff. So it's much more remedial than people think, especially in this day and age when kids have such low GPPs. So that has to be understood. The other thing that needs to be understood from a coaching perspective is not all your kids love lifting weights or they care that much. And that needs to be brought in too. We'd love to, it'd be so much easier to coach, right? If every kid couldn't wait to get in there and did all his research. I mean, technically they wouldn't even need me, but that's just not the reality. So I don't know if it's applicable to large high school groups. I don't know. I'm not familiar with it, but just understand there's like what I would really like to do and what would be awesome, and then there's the reality of it, and those two things are miles apart. Nick says, Jim, thank you for the answer. Okay, I appreciate this. I appreciate you, Nick. Thank you for being part of this. Thanks for being a shining light in the strength world and life. I appreciate that. That's another Nick. Thank you. Insulin resistance freak says, when are you going to squat and deadlift again? I squat still. Just have a weight vest on, brother. And I deadlift, I don't know. Nah, I don't have much desire to do it anymore. I don't know. It just doesn't interest me, and that's fine. Listen, I've said this before. Maybe the best or worst thing about some of my attitude is if I don't want to really do anything and don't have any interest, I just don't do it anymore. So maybe that's good or bad. So there you go. John says, I recall hearing you recommend 2 weighted vests some time ago, but since then, have you been exposed to any others? Sounds so dirty, John. Do you recommend them? Looking to get into Walrus while saving some money. I do not have any experience, and I think that speaks volumes for the weight vests that I use because they have been put through hell. So much sweat and rain and all that other shit, chalk, just grossness, and they've held up remarkably well. So again, that doesn't mean there's not great ones out there, obviously, but again, the only ones I use are the 511 plate carrier and the X vest. And I'm not even sure they even sell X-Vest anymore. So it's just way more comfortable, both those, than some of the other things that I've put on. Rico says, do you ever sit back and think, where did time go? You look back and realize I'm not young anymore. Yeah, I do that all the time. Unfortunately, I have to get out of that habit, because what I found out is when I did that, I end up not looking forward and getting shit done. Instead, I start romanticizing and thinking, and it's like not bad thoughts, right? But you're like, I remember when I did this. And the problem is then you get kind of stuck in that, and you're not actually doing shit to move forward. So I think it's fun to say, you know, like, oh my God, I did this and I did that. And I'm super proud of some of the stuff that I've done. But at the same time, man, the past should be a springboard and not a hammock. There you go. Take that to the bank. Says, thanks for answer, Jew. Okay. I'm not, that means Jim or Jew. Elo says, what were your responsibilities when you worked at Elite FTS? Well, when I started there, it was just me, Dave, and Tracy. So at that time, I answered phones, took orders, made purchase orders, you know, like get those out. I would package stuff up. And then obviously write articles and did all that. So, I mean, it was basically anything that Dave would make Dave's job easier, because Dave was running the company and so was Tracy. And then things started getting bigger, right? I couldn't do all those things, so we hired someone to do most of the packaging, and then I did, you know, some office stuff. But most of the stuff was the articles, the Q&A stuff, and all the sales stuff. So, and then obviously I did all the copy on the website. It was a ton of shit, man. Like, and again, it's still technically, I guess, a small company, but it was a very small company when I first started. And we were in a tiny little shop on Main Street there, and no air conditioning. So me and Dave were sweaty all the time with no shirts. So anyway, yeah, I did a lot of everything. I mean, I remember one Monday, long story short, I had to learn all HTML coding for the articles. And boy, that was fucking confusing. I spent that entire week amongst everything else trying to figure out how to code stuff. And it was, oh my God. And I finally got it down, and I got better and better. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff there, man. I mean, I did DVDs, we did videos, we did seminars. I mean, everything that can go into that business, because of the time I was there, I did basically, except for like maybe the accounting. That was always Tracy. So, Robert P says, hey, I'm squatting today. Thank you for your help. That's awesome. Good luck, man. Squat aggressive. Fucking squat. I always tell the kids, squat like a man. Don't wimp the bar off. Don't be all hesitant. Fucking own the bar, squeeze, and get down there and move. And Insulin Resistant Freak sends me a note saying, not thanks for the answer, Jew, but thanks for the answer, Jim. So thank you for clearing that up. All right, man, I got to take a squirt here, guys. I got to pee. I got a phone date with my son, Mason. And so Bog Wizard says, thinking about pulling out the old Wendler white cloth gluten Halloween costume this year, classic. So one year on social media, I don't know which one it was, I bought an old white sheet. I cut out some holes for the eyes, like an old ghost costume, and I wrote gluten on there. That was back in, remember, I don't know, it was probably 10 years ago when everyone thought gluten was going to kill everyone. Just like secondhand smoke, right? Millions of deaths. Millions. So that's what I posed for on social media as my Halloween costume. John says, I'm currently looking at the 511 Tech trainer. Can I get away with popping in a pair of 5-pound or 10-pound barbell plates into the carrier as a quick way to get started without having to buy the actual plates? I don't know. I don't know if I have the Tech trick. I don't know what my 511 one is. So I don't know. I probably could. I don't know. I don't know how comfortable it would be. So I don't know. And I don't want to tell you yes or no and then it being an absolute crapshoot. So, yeah. Listen, that one of the issues, you know, I've said this before, is, you know, I understand some of this stuff costs money. Trust me. And you got to save for it. But once you get it all kind of worked out, I think I'd rather you buy nice, don't buy twice. So the 511, again, I don't know what a tech trainer is, if I have that one or not, I don't know. But listen, I understand you need to save money and pinch pennies, but don't do so in such a way that you buy something cheap and shitty. So just remember that, people. I've had barbells for 15 years now. I've had another barbell for 23. It still works very well. We still use it for this. I have a trap bar I bought in like 2005 or something that we still use today. James uses it. Juliet uses it. Zach uses it. So, yeah, a good equipment will last you not just my lifetime, but I assume when I pass, someone's gonna get it. Right? Or I'll just fucking tell everyone to burn it down. Bury it. Screw it. No one gets it. I'm gonna bury a monolith. So just throw it in the ocean. Let it become a coral reef. So, all right, I gotta go. I'm gonna go pee my brains out, brothers. As always, guys, thank you to everyone that watched, that is going to watch, that asked questions. You're why I get to do this, because I love doing this. As always, if you are doing something awesome, some kind of challenge over the weekend, stay safe, but push yourself. Be miserably awesome this weekend. I hope it's great. If you are a coach, or hell, I don't know, maybe you're a high school player, I doubt it, but be safe this Friday. Enjoy a game, play hard, play aggressive, play like you're supposed to play. Everything works itself out. Love you guys. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.